Alright, this is the last video I'm going to make on the whole Leaf playoff run. They had their whole end of season media availability yesterday morning, and I thought there were some pretty interesting moments throughout. Obviously you had all eyes on Mitch Marner and what he was going to say, and look, he said he hasn't really processed much after the loss, and how over the next couple of weeks he's going to sit down and talk to his family about what decision he's going to make. But in regards to a return to Toronto, it didn't really sound all that encouraging if there was ever any real doubt about that. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he probably wasn't going to re-sign, but I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What's it going to look like in Toronto with a new look without the core four? I think it's long overdue, and we've been talking about this for years, so to finally see it happen will be very interesting. You also had John Tavares, who, on the other hand, very explicitly said he wanted to come back on what's probably going to be a team-friendly deal if he wants to compete for a cup. So there's that, along with Matthews, who despite all of the buzz around a potential offer sheet, has also said he wants to come back to Toronto, which I'm sure is very nice to hear if you're a Leaf fan. If there's anyone that you want to keep as a part of this core, Matthews is probably at the top of the list. But despite all of that, what I found most interesting in this media availability press conference was probably the segment with Auston Matthews, specifically when he said this.
Got injured in training camp. Obviously wasn't feeling great throughout the first month or so of the season. Took some time off, went to Germany, did all these things to try to feel better. Then, just kind of in a place that, felt like I could manage it. There's obviously some, good stretches where I felt good. There were some stretches where I didn't feel very good.
So yeah, obviously no secret that Auston Matthews was injured for a majority of the season. He missed a lot of time at the start. He even went to Germany to try and sort it all out, but it didn't really seem like he ever got it fully under control this year. And I'm sure that by the sound of it, he was affected by this injury in the playoffs as well, which is why he probably wasn't able to play to nearly his best standard. So now with that being said, I think there's two different approaches you can take after hearing this information. I think on one hand, you can be upset at the fact that he played through an injury in the regular season, possibly playing meaningless games, and even playing in the Four Nations face-off. I mean, I guess you could say, well, he knows his body better than anyone else, and end of the day, if he thinks he's fit enough to play, then that's his choice. But I saw a lot of people in the comments of that press conference say, look, this guy's the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and there wasn't enough accountability taken for the level of poor play, and a lot of people also said that he was almost using this injury excuse as a crutch. And, I guess it's just a general consensus of what I think that Leafs fans have been most upset about throughout this whole process is the lack of accountability in general. You had Matthews' comments after Game 7 calling a bunch of his teammates passengers when they would have much rather he just taken the loss on the chin and said that he, as the highest paid player in the NHL right now, should have been better. But it's hard as well because you don't know the extent to which he was actually injured and, how bad it actually was. So the fact that he was still playing at the end of the season to try and secure that top spot in the division, getting by a round in the playoffs, and then still playing against Florida, is that commendable? I don't know. I mean, I want to know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to give me everything that you're feeling a couple of days after getting eliminated by the Florida Panthers in 7 games. I'm obviously not a Leaf fan, so I don't know what the whole vibe is, but be sure to let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe if you are new so you don't miss out on off-season coverage along with the rest of the playoffs. But with that, peace out and take care.